Hello! Hello!
Hello.
Welcome to the town hall. There's so much intro now. I keep getting ready to go.
It's super smooth.
It's great. We're getting it dialed in. I'm Franz. Oh yeah,
Hello.
I got the director right. That's Andy. This is the Concrete CMS Town Hall for the delightful month of September. Fall is in the air. Summer is letting up. We're going into my favorite season, or my first of favorite seasons, and yeah, lots of exciting news. So let's jump right into it. If you've got questions for us, you should be asking them in the stream right now. We will do a big Q&A at the end, but the more that come in, the better, and we'll stick them up there as they come in. So what news do I have? Well, 9.0 release candidate 3 was released between this and last town hall. I don't know if 2 was in between, or I think that might have been before.
I think that was right at the outset before prior town hall, probably.
Regardless, release candidates coming out fast and furious, at least for us, and looking really good. Like, we're getting feedback that, you know, this interface buried here needs a refresh for it to save, and kind of things that definitely need to be fixed but don't feel like blockers to us. So if you have not had a chance to play with 9.0 release candidate wherever we're at, you should be doing that, because we have every intention of releasing that before Halloween. So there you go. You always ask me, when is there going to be an official date? And I can officially tell you, before trick-or-treating, you will have a free treat of version 9.0 release candidate, or not release candidate, but an official version. And I will say the inevitable question is, it will work on PHP 8. I know it doesn't perfectly today because there's some libraries we need to update, yada yada, but that is still very much on our to-do list. In other upcoming news, just to get ahead of the Q&A, version 8.5.6 is slated to be released later this very week that we are in. That's got, what's it got, Andy?
It's mostly got some bug fixes, long-standing bug fixes, and some security updates, as well as probably the biggest one that end users might notice is it makes the connect to community work again. Browser changes have kind of nerfed that over the course of the last 6 months or so, to the point where they just have basically stopped working at all based on our iframe, due to our iframe approach. And we've kind of hacked around that to make it so that it doesn't just fail silently. It gives you kind of a plan of action, but it's not the most graceful experience right now. And so 8.5.6 fixes that, and along with some other bug fixes and preparations for version 9.
Nice. Yeah, so expect that this week. What else? Looking at this news over here, we rebranded Concrete 5 to Concrete CMS throughout all the documentation. Nice. So we had some pretty stoic help from some interns this summer, and that was no joke. So I think we'll probably get to thank yous in the docs here in a little bit, but I'll thank Lincoln and Paige right away, because wow.
Seriously,
the Google spreadsheet for all the pages that needed to be touched, and it was no joke. So that's been updated. I also think that most, if not all, of the listing sites in the wild have been updated.
That's great.
A couple punky ones. There's one that's really giving us a hard time about our actual repository name on GitHub, so you and I are going to have to fight that out, Andy. But by and large, we are now known as Concrete CMS, so that is great. And yeah, there we go. So let's forge right ahead into the thank you section of our town hall. This is a open source project driven by the help of our community, and wouldn't be here without you. So always take a little moment here to do some shout outs to people who have done specific things that have earned them karma points and badges, and generally just made the world a better place for everyone. Andy, do you want to talk about code and bug reports?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of bug report submissions during the release candidate cycle, some code submissions as well. Thank you to everyone who is active in GitHub. That includes Fabian Bitter, Hamed Daragi, Hishi, John the Fish, Corvin, and M. Lokati for submitting code. And then the bug reports list is long and strong, and it's Art SI, CCM and Lil, Christophe 2K, Deek 87, DB Onomo, FF AUVEL, Hishi, Infomobi, Iswell Goad, John the Fish, Corvin Santo, Mel, Emmy. I'm not sure that this is right. Me-sign, yeah. Masuva, Michael Marr, M. Nakale, Moria, N5TS, SB1955, The Middle Half, Wordish, who is Mike Larson, Zabatar, Zinrig, and Zapartakov. So thank you so much. Yeah, we've got kind of a backlog of release candidate issues to look at. We've been busy on some other 9.0 related business over the last few weeks. But definitely as we get ready to do the final 9.0 release, expect those to be addressed, and expect a lot of feedback on those pull requests and GitHub issues, probably starting this week.
Yeah, that's great. We just, I think, added recently shouting out bug reports in our town hall. You know, that is super important. I know sometimes it may feel like, well, surely they already know that this doesn't work. Now, we probably don't. So go ahead, make sure it's not already a bug report in there. Like, look for the other issues. But you know, even if it's going to take a minute to get to it, knowing the whole list and be able to triage through that and put some priorities on it is pretty key. So thank you, everybody who's done that. I'm looking at this documentation section that we've put together, and thank you for putting together all these thank yous, Mike, but this is my entire team. So thank you, everybody I pay to edit documentation. You've done a good job. I appreciate that. We are working on fixing some pages in documentation. There was a while, oh geez, this was years ago, where like the kind of wiki version of Concrete that we made that you could edit in context, like some of the blocks got disconnected from it, and so you couldn't change the main content just using the kind of inline wiki stuff. We have subsequently fixed that, but there's a few pages that still have that disconnected. So going through, finding those pages and tightening those up is on our to-do list for the next 6 weeks. And that should make it so anybody can edit all of the documentation pages more easily, get us back to that delightful wiki spot. And so maybe in a town hall or two, I can be shouting out some names that are not on payroll. In the meantime, thanks, Evan. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, interns. Good job. Let's see. Let's go into the PRB review. So this is the peer review board. As a group of volunteers that look at all submitted add-ons and themes, review their code, help developers get them over the finish line, make sure that they are safe, secure, and built the best that they can. And run by John the Fish and Noor, who have started putting together this delightful little video snippet for us, which I believe this month may be loud instead of quiet. So buckle up and here we go.
We haven't seen a great deal of new development this month. Many of the usual developers have been busy updating for version 9 or on holiday and such. So we're taking the opportunity to present our pick of add-ons that can help you get started in developing for Concrete. Now, everything these add-ons do, you can also do by hand or in other ways, so they're by no means compulsory. You can use these add-ons actively in your development workflow or as a learning resource, all depending on your experience and preference. Let's start with developing a theme. Many developers like to start with Concrete's core elemental theme. It's solid, follows best practice, and has plenty to go round, but modifying elemental directly in the Concrete directly is definitely not a good thing to do. Your changes get lost next time you update the core, and you don't have a pure elemental to swap back to as a diagnostic. With that in mind, you need to make a copy, and Mr. K. Dilkington created the theme Clonemental as a starting point for this, a free and ready package clone of the core elemental theme. You install Clonemental and then build out from that. Now, to make it even easier, Noor, my colleague in the PRB, created Elemental Cloner. This is an add-on where you fill in the name for your new theme and package, click a button and it creates a fresh clone of Elemental, all packaged up, ready to go. All you need to do is to start styling and modifying the templates and that. And a nice extra is you have the option of copying the Google fonts directly into the clone. So this can be really good for intranets where Google isn't accessible, or for GDPR in some situations. The next thing you might want to do is add a bit of JavaScript onto a page. Now, just about every web service available provides a basic script integration with the simple instructions: paste this into your HTML. With some JavaScript that you don't really understand and take on faith. Now, the really obvious but also really dumb thing to do here is to add that into an HTML block. Even without any copying mistakes, such scripts often interfere with the page, and especially they can block you from getting back into edit mode. A simple and much more reliable solution is to use the script output block. This add-on was developed by Masuva, and it's $15 in the marketplace, and it's also MIT licensed on GitHub. What you do is paste your script into the block edit dialog, and the block then adds it to the page. In edit mode, only a placeholder is shown, so in this case it would show third-party scripts as a bit of text on the page in edit mode. Options are that you can put the scripts in the header or in line or in the footer of the page. And whilst it's called script output, you can put anything in these areas, including HTML and meta tags and styles and things. So it's a really useful block. Moving on, whilst many sites can be built completely from the core blocks with one or two marketplace blocks, every now and then you find a need for a custom block type. And the champion of this is a suite of tools by Raymond Linders. The first of Raymond's add-ons are Block Designer and Block Designer Pro. And the idea here is, rather than creating and editing blocks code by hand, you fill in a dialog in the dashboard describing the edit fields your block needs, click a button, and it creates all the basic code for the block. You then edit the block view to create the finer points of your design, but a lot of the work has already been done for you. Block Designer Pro builds on Block Designer with things like repeating groups of fields, so you can use it for building lists in an edit dialog that are then output onto the page. An alternative way of doing the same thing is also by Raymond, and it's called Block Developer. This takes a more developer-oriented approach. If we have a look at some input to Block Developer, with Block Developer you describe a block using a PHP data structure, then instruct Block Developer to process that data structure to create the block. So it's more suited to experienced developers. And finally, all these blocks are created in the application area of a site, and if you want the convenience of distributing them in a package, Raymond's created a package designer. Package designer is the next step in the process. It creates all the boilerplate for a package and optionally moves blocks from application into that package. In the marketplace, Block Designer is $35, then you can extend it with Block Designer Pro for another $65, or alternatively Block Developer is altogether $109. Then for Package Developer that's a further $20. Well, that's it from me, so I'll now pass you over to Noor for some more add-ons to help you get started in developing concrete sites.
Thank you, John. Hello, everybody. Well, let's start with one of John's own package families. So the Package Magic family is a group of 3 packages: the starter version, the full version, and the PRB version. The starter version helps you upload and install packages easily when you don't have access to the community or want to upload custom packages. So you won't need to use FTP or SSH anymore. Just upload your zip file from the dashboard and you're good to go. It will even check if the package is valid. Where it becomes really interesting is with the full version that lets you use many more sources for your packages. You'll be able to load them from or save them to any FTP, URL, the file manager, you name it. So if you want, for instance, to grab a package from GitHub or save a package to another website right from the dashboard, you can. And then you get a whole bunch of build tools. You can check your packages for errors, for invalid code, validate your CSS and JavaScript, view translation strings, too many to list. The last one, the PRB package, lets you fetch packages directly from the PRB, so it's only for PRB members. The starter version retails for $30, the full version for $80, and as usual with John, you get a discount. The second tool is the Marketplace Linter, so not the Marketplace package per se. It's a great way to check your code against a list of concrete CMS best practices. As soon as you submit a package or a theme to the marketplace, a bunch of checks will run, and you'll know instantly if your package breaks any concrete CMS rule. You'll be alerted if your namespacing is not correct, if you forgot any exec or die statement, or if your files don't parse correctly, among many others. Of course, you could simply submit your package to the PRB to run it through the linter. But if you just want to test it and are not trying to get it to the marketplace, then we don't really want you to do that. Please just use the standalone linter tool instead. The next package is the Entity Designer by Fabian Bieter. So you may know or not that, but Concrete CMS uses Doctrine under the hood for database interaction. And let's be honest, designing entities and a bunch of forms and views to go with them quickly gets old. Like soul-suckingly old, if that's even an expression. So Fabian Bieter developed this soul and time saving package that lets you design your entities through a simple dashboard form, and then it generates everything you need. The entity itself, the forms to add and edit records, and list view blocks, and everything you need. The generated code looks great, and you can expand on it with ease to add anything missing or out of the box. It costs $150. Last but not least, the Speed Analyzer by developer A3020. If your website is slow, this package can help you find out why. It gathers information about how fast a page is rendered and gives you details about the process. You'll get information on how many database queries were executed, in how long, how much time did specific events take, what block was it that ran those events, and presents it all in an easy-to-use, interactive way so you can quickly identify bottlenecks in your code. This is an invaluable tool for sure, but one word of warning though. This package was great so far, but it's not supported anymore, so it might eventually stop working, especially with Concrete 9 coming. However, it is available on GitHub, so feel totally free to help keeping it in working condition. It's free. And that's it for today. Thank you.
Awesome.
That is
Thanks.
awesome. Yeah, those are great.
John.
I laughed at the doctrine comment, Noor. That's funny.
Yes, that is a term.
Use it
those are all
frequently.
great add-ons. We use a lot of that. Certainly, Ramon's Block Builder is a standard go-to when we are banging out blocks for clients that really want lockdown sites in terms of a kind of presentation layer. I think some of that will probably change in version 9. We've got some cool stuff to show you later today about that. But all good stuff, and thank you guys for putting that together. Let's see. So the next section of our town hall is the Golden Baton. So we used to run a bunch of weird raffle type stuff and automatically pick some karma winners. And with our whole rebrand and new community stack, we decided to do a little bit more personal touch, where we picked John the Fish last month as kind of a heroic community member who has done a lot for everybody, been very helpful, and personified actually all of the virtues that we hold dear here at Portland Labs. And we gave him a badge. Let's see if we can bring up this screen, Corbin. Here we go. This is John's profile in the community. And if I come down to his extensive pile of badges, you can see right down here in the corner is the Golden Baton badge. There's a Golden Baton. It's being handed off to one person to another. So the idea here is it's a pass it along, pass it forward kind of deal. So when John got this badge, he won $250 of marketplace credit, so he can buy whatever add-ons and themes he wants, and of course the badge, and also gets the right to choose the next Golden Baton winner. Now, being John, he's actually put together a nice little video about it and gone overboard. If you end up being a Golden Baton winner, you don't have to go that far. You could just tell me who you think should win, and I'll happily do some jazz hands and put a little video together as well. But yeah, that being said, let's cue up John again and wait in anticipation to see who he picks to pass the baton on to.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for the honour of making me the inaugural recipient of the Golden Baton. My month is coming to an end, and it's time to hand it over. So I've pre-recorded this because I don't know if I'll be able to make it to the September town hall. We're going to be on holiday. The values Franz expressed made me think a bit about my own philosophy, and I can pretty much sum that up by make things better, whether that's software, systems, projects, businesses, websites, people, society, life, everything. Make things better. I think that's both equitable and a little bit selfish. By making things better for others, I end up making things better for me. Or maybe that's the other way round. You can tell my wife's a psychologist. Anyway, I hope that encompasses the values Franz expressed, or perhaps those values add up to making things better. But that's enough of the deep philosophy for now. It's time to hand the baton on. I had a few left field ideas about people who had been a big influence on me when I first became involved with the concrete community. But in the end, there is one really obvious candidate. All the nice things Franz said about me apply equally to Noor Akali, or Manakali as he's known in the community. Noor is all about making things better. So Noor, the Golden Baton is in your custody for the next month.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
John,
Yes.
eloquent as always. Yeah.
Yeah, we feel the same way, and yeah, Noor is an obvious choice, and well played, sir. So congratulations, Noor. You are now the proud owner of the Golden Baton, so you got to figure out who should get it next. And yeah, we'll be in touch. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Those of you who have yet to win the Golden Baton, it's only been passed once now. I'm sure it's coming your way soon, so appreciate your help. And yeah, as John kind of pointed out, it's really cool to be part of something that is bigger than you, and surrounded by people who are trying to help one another make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. Let's do a showcase of a cool concrete site that we found in the wild, and then let's show off some pretty sweet stuff that's coming in version 9. So this is the DIFC Quartz website. It's a weird deal, man. This is definitely stuff worth looking into, I guess. So my understanding is this is a like a contracts court that it's a virtual court that is kind of based offshore Dubai somewhere that enables companies and maybe individuals with huge wills to figure out awkward details following the laws of whatever contract. So super squishy. Like they use the British law system when in doubt, but they're generally like just trying to find the answer to the contract. That's the loudest typing I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, this website is a pretty website. It's obviously got a bunch of court information in there, so there's like a real set of kind of security stuff that you would care about. You can't have this getting hijacked or messing anything up. They also have, let's see if I can find it. There is some pretty standard stuff. What's the media centre? somewhere in here there was like a big video archive. Where was that? Am I gonna be able to find it on the fly? Probably not. No, there's a newsroom. Searchable, sortable, just as you would expect. But
nice looking site.
I found, yeah, it's pretty to look at.
It's got some transitions, some elegance.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a custom theme or something that they pulled from the marketplace. Oh, where is... Oh,
Yeah, I really like how the navigation bar flows in. Not such a big fan of how the expand and collapse works, but the nice transition on the flowing in is really cool.
Zoom, 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 zoom. Trends and orders, is that where we're at? No. Well, somewhere in here, you're going to find a huge archive of Zoom videos, or just recorded videos, from like all of these court cases. Which really feels like, it just feels like the lawyer cat, like times 1,000. It's like some British judge and a bunch of people that like have sporadic video arguing about a contract. It's a calendar, whatever. Pretty good stuff. Good looking site. DIFC courts.
You need your sites to do something.
Weird
that's what Concrete's for, yeah.
Legal entity thing, and kind of a hybrid of a marketing site and some private login areas, and being able to store a lot of assets. So
a lot of content, clearly. So
yeah, I
good
found
fit.
a CID of 10,000 at one point. So they're definitely adding lots of pages. So yeah, I don't know. There you go. DFIC Courts, good looking site. If you're building something for someone who's like, well, yeah, but can we use this for legal stuff? Like, well, sure. Gotta be able to hang with the DIFC court system. There you go. There is your, yes, as Corbin says, it's Judge Judy, but in Dubai without the TV. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Cool. Let's do a little bit of version 9 stuff. So one of the things that we decided was probably pretty important with version 9, since it's such a huge kind of improvement both visually and with a lot of the bedrock and kind of theme building stuff that we have been started, is we really needed a new default theme. So we've had new default themes in Concrete over the years as we've done kind of major version releases, and this seemed like the right time to do that and really kind of show off some of the different approach with containers and all that jazz. So Andy's been feverishly working away on getting that into 9.0, and I think we've got something queued up to show on that.
A little teaser.
All right.
Hey everybody, this is Andrew Embler, CTO of Portland Labs and Concrete Core Team Leader. Right now you can see we're looking at Elemental, the default theme shipping with Concrete since 2014. It's still a good theme, and that's why we've updated it to be built off Bedrock. But 7 years is a long time in the world of software and web development. In 2021, if we want to show off what Concrete is really capable of, we can't do that with Elemental. We need a new theme, and so we started building one. And I'm happy to report that today it's ready to show off. This is Atomic, a theme built from the ground up for Bedrock, Concrete version 9, and Bootstrap 5. The blocks and core components in Atomic's sample content are styled specifically for the Atomic theme, and look great on all devices. Atomic shows off new block types, like the top navigation bar, the accordion block, the core image gallery, the new feature link block, and the hero image block type. In these latest builds of version 9, we're also introducing the concept of color collections, where themes can specify their foundational colors and make those available to core block types. Atomic also installs new types of sample content to really show off what Concrete is capable of. Atomic's blog is built with the new board functionality in Concrete version 9. This ensures dynamic layouts with a ton of flexibility for dynamic content placement. Atomic ships with several very useful, highly responsive containers. Containers are a new version 9 feature that let you cut your concrete pages into multiple content sections using predefined markup. These can be as simple as 2-column layouts or as elaborate as layouts spread across multiple rows that behave differently based on different breakpoints. If certain pages in your site have a more rigid form factor, our flexible set of templates, page types, and page type defaults still work as well as ever, and look better than ever in Atomic. For sites with community functionality, we've also taken a fresh look at components like our user profile and user directory. Finally, all core components like block views, layouts, and containers have been built with an eye toward all device sizes, ensuring that Atomic and any sites built with it will look great on your phone, on a large desktop, and anything in between. We're really excited about Atomic. It's the last large piece of functionality we're adding to version 9. I can't wait to see the types of sites built with it, and the new types of themes built using Atomic as inspiration. Please let us know what you think as version 9 gets near to release.
Very nice.
Yay!
Andy.
Thanks.
That was great. Super
Yeah, it's
soothing. I'm almost.
I know
out.
ASMR. my future is an ASMR video person. Let me just talk you to sleep.
Theme reviews podcast today.
I know. I was recording it yesterday. I was like, man, this is coming off a bit more soothing. I don't know. It was a bit more soothing than I was anticipating. Not so high energy, but that's okay.
Cool. It's great. Bring it back up here.
Yeah.
So that's the topic. Is it, what branch is it in? How can people look at that?
It is currently in a branch called Theme-Preview for for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit. It's not in the actual Concrete 5 repo yet because we have forks that are kicking around. So I will be opening a pull request for that very, very soon, along with making sure that the tests pass for it, and then making sure that we can merge back in any release candidate stuff that we've done in the meantime, because there's, as you might imagine, a fair amount of stuff that's new in this branch, making sure that all comes in. But I will be opening a pull request for it later today or this week sometime, and then it will be, I'll open that up and leave that open, and people will be able to play with it very, very soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do we want to explain what boards mean at all? I don't know if we've ever done that.
Sure. Yeah. I have this running locally. I can do a 5-minute kind of the quickest walkthrough in the world, just because it's a little, or we can just try to
Sure.
sort of
it's fine with me, unless anybody
verbalize
else has
it.
objections.
I can. Yeah, I think that might be the easiest way to do it. I'm not sure.
Well, I'll let you fire it up, and
right.
I'll try to give a high level. If any of you can dig way back into your minds, there was a thing we made called The Gathering, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Trying
just
to
removed
embrace the
it.
idea.
Just
got rid of it, brought it back
Yeah.
on boards. I guess the larger use case here is when you're adding detailed content to a site, you're kind of thinking from the page level up. I need to add this blog post or this press release or whatever. And Concrete lets you do a great job of kind of, putting different stuff on the page and getting kind of desktop publishy with it. On pages where you link to that stuff, the categories, the cross-linking, the landing pages, the home page, those pages are always a little trickier. Like, you want those to look really good. Like, that's almost the front page of your newspaper if we're doing a kind of a publishing model. But there's this difficult choice of, like, if you make it so an author has to go to that category page and choose how they want to link to the stuff. Oh, for this blog post I do want to use the larger treatment. For that blog post I don't. Well, then that's a lot of extra work. On the other hand, if you try to automate all that and you just say, oh, we're just going to show a template title and a short paragraph on each one, it starts to look really boring and repetitive. And so how do you get that kind of organic layout on a category landing page without creating a tremendous amount of curation work, while still letting somebody do some curation work if they want. Like, so that's always been the challenge that we're trying to face, is how do you make those mid-level or the homepage summary pages attractive as they get content added underneath them automatically, but also give editors tools to be like, yeah, I don't want to promote that one, I want to promote this one, that. So there's the context for what Andy's about to show you.
Sure. Yeah. Since I don't have the multi-monitor setup, Corvin, just let me know when I can start, when the screen is
You're
in the
going.
feed.
You're
All right,
going.
I'm going.
Hot.
All right. So this is the new Atomic theme with the blog, and the actual structure of the blog is basically the same as in Elemental. So posts have their own page. You click through them, and they render the same as they kind of have always, a single post, a single page per post. But the landing page is quite a bit different. So historically, we've had a page list block on the blog landing page, and as Franz says, it kind of just lists out the content that matches the blog entry page type, and you might be able to use a custom template or some custom views with thumbnails and stuff to jazz it up. But historically, it's kind of just been a list, and that's basically what you get. So what boards do is they allow you to have a lot more flexibility over how you show content, how you aggregate different types of content, and sort of how you curate that content once you want to put it somewhere. So boards can actually gather different types of content, much like the aforementioned rest in peace gathering block from days past. If I put this page in edit mode, you can see the entire middle area here, including the topic stuff, which is kind of an interesting thing that's actually rendering a stack in this template, is using the board block. And the board block is, this is in edit mode, so it's hard to show exactly what it is, but it places the contents of a board on a page. And so if I go into the dashboard, into boards, you can see we've created a board called blog. And if you go into this, you can see if I edit it, it's basically, I give it a name. You can install different board templates, which might be outside the scope of this little quickie demo, but a board template is a PHP file somewhere that defines different slots. And as you can see from the front end of my site, they can be pretty extensive. So if I put this in edit mode and mouse over this stuff, you can see this entire horizontal area here is a slot. This area is not. It's actually rendering a stack. So you can do a lot of kind of interesting stuff. Anything you can do in PHP, you can do within a board template. This top slot is has a different. It actually extends across the whole way. So you have a lot of anything that you can do in HTML. You can do. You can define slots, just like you might define an area in a page. Same here. We've got another slot. We've got a slot down here and a slot down here. But what's interesting is you can see these slots, the content in them is not just limited to the slots. So we've got 3 blog posts showing up here. We've got 2 blog posts showing here. We've got a left and a right showing up here. And that's all just done via the board generation algorithm. So if we go back into here, you can see you can define multiple data sources. Right now we support pages and calendar events, but it's not unreasonable to think that we would add Express over time as well. We can control how the content flows into the board based on the data source. We can choose which templates are available for our board. We can even weight by the different data sources, although we don't really do that too often. And then we create different instances of the block, and we can sort of curate them over here. And basically, the way that this works, if you edit this block, you can even go into, you can say, hey, I don't really care for this. I'm going to just regenerate this whole thing. And it will rebuild your stuff on the fly. It will also attempt to not show anything more than once. This particular thing is actually something I've pinned here, this view. So if I delete this custom slot and refresh this page, you can kind of see it will go away. You can change the way that this stuff works, saying, hey, I just want to show this one post up here because it's important to me. And then you can kind of choose how it looks. Some of this display is a bit TBD, but now you can see you've got your custom slot here. It moves all the content down here. Everything is kind of built on the fly, and there's just a ton of flexibility there. And it's one of those things where we're trying to build something that's compelling and interesting to a developer, but we can't even imagine the kind of stuff that people will be able to build out of it. So we've been using it on projects. We know that it's production ready, and we're really excited to get it out in version 9. And I thought the blog was the best way to kind of make that happen.
Great example. So the slots don't really have any formatting to them. That's just a place that the thing could go. You can then, it'll automatically pick, or you can pick, okay, I want, in this slot, I want 1 piece of content, 2, 3, like depending on your, what you've built with this board as a developer, you can kind of put some outer bounds on that. And then it's going to go through and find the different templates in that second view you were showing. Why don't you pick one again? Like if you say, okay, I don't like these 3 here, so I want to, I want to replace that with something else. So now you're looking at, these are all the blog posts, or if you were also looking at event, like I want this blog post and this event. Once you pick those 2, it's smart enough to say, okay, here are the different templates that this could fit into. So it's looking at the metadata that's available about the pages that you made, or the calendar events, anything that you're feeding to the board, and it's saying, all right, I've got a thumbnail, I've got a title, I've got these different templates that require a thumbnail and a title, and these are the ways you could fit it in. Then I can choose that and pin it and keep it. And so you as someone who cares, I can get all fussy and kind of pin everything and lay it all out using this stuff. If you don't care that much, and you're just like, I just want this thing to automatically generate every 6 hours because I've got 100 admins and we're just adding content on the fly, it'll just do that, and kind of like Flipboard, it'll just look pretty good as you go.
Yeah, and all this data is actually not the board, but the actual the way that these different templates show up for the actual individual page is stored at the page level. So you can even opt into saying this page doesn't look good with this particular template, and turn it off, and then it won't even show up as something that you can see in the blog. And of course, you have full control over the template and all the styling as well. So, for example, this top post that shows up here, we've actually set up the template to only allow templates where the image is on the left or the right in the top slot. But other than that, anything will flow into it. So, and it orders by date descending. So, as you post new content, your latest post will show up in the top slot, but it will never accidentally, you'll never accidentally get this particular template with an enormous image and a title underneath it, because that's not going to look good. You're only ever going to automatically, if you want content in there that fits that form factor, you're only ever going to get it in this way. Now you could also,
as I remember it, we can make it so templates have rules that impact one another in terms of stacking them up.
That's right.
If you wanted to say, look, if I'm going to show that tiny 3 up, I don't want to show another tiny 3 up beneath it because the designer says that looks like garbage.
Yes.
So you can have rules that interact between the slots.
Yeah, that's how this is built. Every template has an optional planner. And so you can, if you implement that, the one we have here is very simple. It basically just says, if my slot is slot number 1 in the blog template, I'm only allowed to put the image left or image right templates in there. But yeah, like Franz says, you could make it so that only slots with 2 or more content show up in the second slot or something like that. There's a lot of flexibility there, and this is also something that we want to continue to develop over time. So there's a lot of interesting stuff on the roadmap with regards to templates with a non-fixed number of slots and things of that nature. So lots of work left to do, but I think it's going to be pretty. It's going to enable a lot more interesting layouts than we've kind of had in the past.
Yeah, very cool. We're using it on a production site that has a lot of activity, and it does a great job of kind of keeping particularly kind of like subcategories that need to exist and maybe don't have a tremendous amount of content underneath them, but I gotta have some page to link to these 4 other pages, and then you can put a board underneath it with related stuff and pull it from, depending on the amount of activity, varying levels of the tree, and it really it just adds a lot of life to a site that might otherwise feel stale. So we know it's cool. It's super complicated, obviously, so we're planning on not documenting it at all, and just hoping for the best and and shipping. No, we will continue to put some work into trying to make it easy to understand for a developer, and I'm sure there'll be some back and forth on kind of how to show people how this works versus containers and kind of in context editing, because it is a lot of new stuff. Okay. I think we're ready for Q&A. I don't know what this link is for.
I didn't know when I clicked stop sharing that my entire browser would stop functioning.
Stop hanging.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. I was just saying it was awesome, and good job.
Thanks.
So,
Goodness.
Do we have any questions to answer after all that? I feel like we must.
Yeah, we've got a fair amount of questions, starting with the ones that weren't quite related to what we showed today. We had one from Dorella. They were asking, can they make YouTube thumbnails for our videos?
Sure. You hunted me down, huh? Good for you. That's a remarkable initiative. Yeah, absolutely. Shoot me a DM and we'll figure it out.
Only if it involves our faces doing something like.
You guys, this is all the content we need.
If you want to do those, then absolutely, yes.
You guys already gave all the faces, so we just need to pull them out of this stream.
Perfect. Yep. We'll get Franz's green screen and really go to town on those.
All right. The next one we have is from C5DK asking about version 9 multi-site functionality. Will there be detailed introduction to multi-site functionality?
We don't typically do a great job of something like that. So hopefully, yes. But historically, no. Yeah, no, there definitely will be. I know that there have been some GitHub issues raised when on those dashboard pages. They're pretty light on explanation, especially on things like once you turn it on, you can't turn it off and things like that. So definitely expect more documentation to come to the documentation sites themselves, but I suspect we'll also be adding better introductory information in the dashboard itself about what multi-site offers, kind of what it should be used for, and sort of some of the caveats that you might get when you turn it on.
Okay. Here's a really interesting one. Katz wants to know, what's the new acronym for Concrete CMS? And this is interesting to me because we've had the CCM variable in the core for a long time, and I never knew what that stands for.
That stood for Concrete Content Management, like a bajillion years ago. I think we're talking 2003 at this point.
Yeah, before we had
it was the first, as you might imagine, some of the first constants ever created were like CCM dispatcher file name and things like that. So that was certainly what that was for. I think probably because it seemed a bit more related to the name than just putting like CMS or something that couldn't be easily searched in the code base. But yeah, in terms of what the actual ongoing acronym is, I don't know what's the current. I mean, that's in the code, but I think we don't really refer to any. It's not used.
It depends on the context,
publicly.
Right? If you're asking from a code perspective, hey, if I want to, preface my package name with something an underscore, then I think probably CCM is the right way to go. Like that's the generator tag that W3 Text is looking for when they find how many concrete sites are out there. So in terms of kind of like from an engineering perspective, if you just need to save a character for some reason, I would probably go CCM before I went C5 at this point, because we are long past 5.
Definitely not C5.
If you're looking for kind of, just vernacular in a forum post, or, like when people might have been like, oh, C5 does this or that, like I would say just use concrete. So if you look at kind of our style guide for the docs at this point, we'll try to introduce first use on the page. It's concrete CMS, capital C, lowercase, REIT. But then once we've said concrete CMS on the page once, we'll just refer to it as concrete in the familiar vernacular.
All right. The next one is one that we actually got in the YouTube chat, so that means we can show it. This is from Peter Joseph. He's asking, what's the official way of updating from version 8 to version 9? Is it the dashboard? Is it Composer? Or how does that work?
It's all of the above. With our own projects, we definitely use Composer for this. So since we use Composer-based projects, Composer's really, it's not just the easiest and best way to do it. It's kind of the only really reliable way, because if you were to try to use the dashboard update on a Composer-based project, it would probably work, but there might be some real weirdness that could result with that, given that you'd have 2 copies of different libraries. So I think the non-glib answer to that is to kind of pick with, whichever one you choose first, you kind of stick with that one. So for your Composer-based projects, certainly use Composer for that. And those are really best for people who are, most comfortable with Composer and really like to install their new projects using Composer. But if you are the type of developer who, is downloading the zip file from concretecms.org, for me, I typically like to, if I'm running that, I download the new version and move the directory into the updates folder, or just copy or do it old school, whereby I copy the concrete directory over the old concrete directory and run the update that way. When version 9 is fully released, we will eventually make the remote updater work as well, and then all sites that aren't Composer based can update through the dashboard, and that should all continue to work going forward.
Nice. Another one from YouTube chat. This is from Riyadh Julie. I think I pronounced that right. He says, we want to offer some add-ons on an annual subscription basis. Is there any plans to add this kind of offer to the marketplace?
There's been lots of discussion around it, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that looks like. I think where we get with the subscription stuff is what does that mean technically? How does that work if I've purchased it, I've installed your add-on on my Bluehost site somewhere, and now I don't want to renew next year? Like, how do you get that add-on off? Do you get that add-on off? Are you just selling version updates and they've bought that version? Or is it really more, pure software as a service? So I'm curious as to anyone's thought around how that works. I can definitely imagine pretty easily saying, look, I think actually our policy now is that you get basic support for 90 days, but we don't really promise you updates for life, but there is kind of an expectation that if there's an update, you get it. So I could see as we continue to improve the marketplace, or fully rebuild it, having it just more clear, look, you're buying this version in time, and if you'd like to buy a subscription that maybe costs you a little less up front, you're going to get versions every year for kind of ongoing. Tricky. I'm with you. I would love to be doing that as well, but how that works for a distributed open source model is a bit of a head scratcher for me. Literally, I'm scratching my head. So let me know what you're thinking. Shoot me a email or a message or something, and I'd be happy to chat that out.
Okay, the next one we have is from Catalysis. They're asking, new badges for Concrete CMS partners?
Yeah, new badges on the way. And
nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And regional partner program over there if you look in partners. So make sure to follow up on all that. And yes, please.
Then we've got one more from Dave Buonomo. He's asking, what's happening with Concrete in the open source market? Is it growing? Does it tend to grow with new releases? Do you anticipate growth with version 9?
Yeah, every time we do a major version release, lots of people download it. So no reason to expect that to not continue. In terms of kind of where we're seeing most growth is mid-market and enterprise type customers. So certainly when we started we're on open source in 2008. It's a very different world. If you needed a website for your restaurant, you were going to have to pay someone something to help you build. Usually something custom. Maybe you would start with a theme, but there's going to be a fair amount of hands-on work. These days, there are so many web builders. The Squarespaces, Wix, Web.com is sending a bunch of ads to me now. There are just an awful lot of ways for the small business to get a presence online. And they have a significant advantage in being closed source. They don't have the problem we were just talking about of, well, how do I update this code if I'm charging you every month? It's been updated. Congratulations. So, they have the power of no, which we don't really have. All we have is, yes, we can do that too. Here's how you turn it on. So, the flip side to that is if you're building something more complicated, if you're building something that needs to be a little bit more powerful, there's no with Concrete. You can build anything with it. So we see the most growth and most kind of interesting future for Concrete as those sites with a little bit more of a functional need. So communication intranets. An organization needs a place to share kind of best practices and documents around employee onboarding and that kind of stuff. And so they want that to be private and somewhat secure. Hybrid sites where, we've got some information we want to share with the public, but we also want to have a semi-private dealer network or join us and then you're going to get access to more resources. Sites that are a little bit more complicated. So we believe that's where Concrete shows a lot of value. We've got a really robust permissions and workflow model. And so we're seeing a lot more interest from customers with those types of problems, an interest in security and compliance, and something that has a mix of public and private users and that kind of thing. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's kind of how we see market growth.
Well, that's the last one I have in my list.
Sweet.
Cool.
Well, we're just about at an hour too, so I think we nailed that perfectly. Very exciting times. Really looking forward to seeing feedback as 9 becomes the official release here before Halloween. Looking forward to hearing more from everybody. If you've got a site you want us to show off in the showcase, you should send it to me. If you are interested in composer-based hosting and you're using some instance of Git somewhere to manage your code base and you're thinking, man, I wish I had better DevOps tools for hosting my Concrete projects, we want to hear from you. We have a new hosting platform geared exactly to your needs that we have been feverishly working away on for months, and we are in the final stages of testing that, and we're looking for beta users. So if you go to our hosting page, you will see a kind of that middle plan says the Pro account. That is for you, and you should fill out that form and let me know, and we will high-five you and give you some early access to what we think is a pretty cool hosting platform that we'd love to get some feedback on. So please reach out for that. And yeah, I guess we're going to see you guys in a month. So thank you very much.